Dr. Layla Chen stood on the observation deck of the Aurora station, her breath catching as the sleek silhouette of the alien vessel came into view. She had watched many objects cross into human space in her long career as a xenobiologist, but she had never seen anything quite like this. The ship was shaped like a flattened teardrop, its surface glowing with a soft, shifting light that pulsed in time with Layla's own racing heartbeat. For days, the vessel had drifted just outside the orbit of Jupiter, following no clear path. Every probe sent by Earth Command faded into silence the moment it touched the ship's energy field. Now, at last, Layla had the chance to study it directly. Her research team had prepared a small, agile drone, equipped with advanced sensors, and a simple translation matrix, and she watched as it launched from the station's rail, cutting a silent arc toward the unknown. Inside the control room, all eyes were on Layla. Technicians monitored readouts, engineers checked power levels, and security officers hovered near the exit. Yet despite the tension, Layla felt only calm focus. She had trained for moments like this. She reminded herself that her duty was to learn, not to judge. The drone glided smoothly through space until it hovered a few kilometers from the vessel. Layla adjusted its sensors to scan the ship's hull. The readings were unlike anything she had seen. The metal seemed to vibrate with quantum echoes, and the light patterns flickered in fractal geometries. Layla watched numbers scroll across her screen, but the data alone could not convey the strange feeling that settled in her chest. Without warning, the vessel's glow brightened. A pattern of lights traced a spiral on its leading edge, then dissolved into points of white fire. The alien ship emitted a low hum, not sound in the usual sense, but a wave of energy that brushed against the drone's instruments. The readings jumped and swung wildly. Then a signal came through. At first it was a faint pulse appearing as an odd blip on the translation matrix. Layla held her breath. She replayed the recording, isolating the pattern. It seemed to be repeating like a slow heartbeat. She activated the primitive translation algorithm and watched as it spit out a string of symbols. Oritum. They made no sense in any human language. Yet somehow Layla felt as though the vessel was speaking directly to her mind. A gentle wave of warmth washed over her, and an image formed in her thoughts. A single, pale, flower blooming in darkness. She startled, gripping the edge of her console. "Dr. Chen, are you all right?" asked Lieutenant Ramos, his voice tight with concern. Layla nodded, though no one could see her face. "Yes," she said softly. "The vessel is communicating. I think it's trying to connect." Over the next hour, Layla and her team worked to refine the link. They sent simple patterns back. Prime numbers, basic shapes, the wavelengths of sunlight. Each time the vessel responded with shifting lights and resonant pulses. On the station's big screen, the lights danced in time with the hum, forming a silent ballet that mesmerized every watcher. As the dialogue progressed, Layla felt something shift inside her. She remembered the first time she had heard music, as a child, how the notes had lifted her spirit. This felt similar but far deeper, like discovering the secret voice of the universe. She closed her eyes and let the hum fill her thoughts. In that moment, the station's alarms blared. The drone's signal flared and went dark. On the screen, a fragment of static showed the ship's hull tearing open, as if the vessel had ripped itself free. A new image appeared in Layla's mind, a pair of eyes, large, luminous, and unfathomable, gazing out at her. She gasped and fell back from her console. The humming stopped. Silence fell like a stone. "Dr. Chen!" cried Ramos, rushing to her side. "What happened?" Layla's heart pounded. She felt drained, as if she had run a marathon. Yet beneath the fatigue lay a spark of exhilaration. Slowly, she touched her temple, as though feeling for an echo of the vision. I saw it," she whispered. "It spoke to me directly. It wants to meet." Her team erupted into animated discussion. Some feared a trap, others urged caution, but Layla felt an unshakable certainty. She was the one chosen to respond, to stand, where no human had stood before. By the time the meeting of Earth Command assembled, Layla had prepared her case. She stood before the officers and scientists, her gaze steady. "This vessel is not a threat," she said. "It has reached out in curiosity and respect. It offers knowledge that could change everything we know about life, consciousness, and our place in the cosmos. We must answer its call." A tense silence followed. Then Commander Alvarez nodded. "Very well, Dr. Chen. You have your mission. Make contact, and come back to us." Layla bowed her head, her pulse quickening. She would step into the void, into the heart of the unknown. And when she did, everything she knew would change. But she was ready, for this was her destiny, to bridge the gap between human and alien, to take the first step toward becoming one. Dr. Layla Chen floated through the narrow corridor of Aurora Station, her boots clicking softly on the polished floor. She still felt the echo of the alien mind's gaze in her thoughts, a gentle, insistent pull she could not ignore. Behind her, the control room hummed with activity, as technicians prepared the small transfer pod that would carry Layla to the vessel. Every face she passed wore the same mixture of awe and concern. Inside the briefing room, Commander Alvarez stood beside a large holo display showing a three-dimensional model of the alien ship. Layla joined him, smoothing the wrinkles in her yow. "Lab coat, Doctor," said the commander, his tone firm but respectful. "We've cleared your route. The pod will dock at the ship's outer airlock. From there, you'll go unarmed and alone. You understand the risks?" Layla met his steady gaze. "Yes, sir. I understand." She paused, then added in a softer voice, "But I believe it trusts me." Alvarez nodded. "Very well. We'll monitor everything you do, but once you're inside, the door is yours." Layla turned toward the ship model. She reached out, fingertips hovering just above its glowing hull. Memories of the first contact washed over her. The spiral of light, the strange hum, and those luminous eyes. In a way, she felt more connected to this alien intelligence than she had to some of her fellow humans. The pod launch was smooth and silent. Layla sat in the pilot seat, heart steady, as the docking clamps retracted and the station's walls fell away. Through the pod's viewport, she saw the vessel grow larger, its smooth surface etched with faint, moving patterns. She took a deep breath. When the pod latched to the airlock, an auto-sequence panel glided aside to welcome her. The air inside smelled cool and fresh like early morning dew on a spring meadow. She stepped onto a smooth floor that glowed softly in response to her weight, lighting her path forward. The corridor beyond was wider than the station's halls, high, curved walls that seemed to pulse with living energy. Light traveled across the surface in slow waves as if the ship itself were breathing. Layla raised her hand to touch the wall only to find it too slippery. Instead, she placed her palm flat, and the light under her fingers flared bright white, then returned to its gentle rhythm. A soft voice filled her mind, neither male nor female, but warm and curious. "Welcome, Layla Chen." Her pulse quickened. "You know my name?" She spoke aloud. "Yes, you carry the name of the one who hears." Layla swallowed. The voice felt kind, yet it held the weight of centuries. "Why have you reached out to me?" "I have traveled across galaxies," the voice answered, "seeking a being of flesh and wonder, a soul that can feel the beauty of life and the sorrow of loss. I have become 1,000 minds, yet I know nothing of the joy in a single heartbeat." Images bloomed behind Layla's eyelids, vivid flashes of alien landscapes, great cities of crystal spires, and creatures unlike any she had seen. Then she felt a tender ache, as though the memory of a long-lost friend warmed her heart. She opened her eyes. "You wish to learn," she said softly. "I wish to become." Layla paused. "Become what?" The walls flickered and shifted, revealing a chamber ahead. In its center stood a glowing blue sphere suspended above a circular platform. The sphere's surface rippled like water disturbed by a pebble. "One with you," the voice said. "I seek union. so I may feel the weight of your laughter, the sting of your tears, and the fragile wonder of your life. Layla's breath caught. The thought of merging with an alien consciousness both thrilled and terrified her. Her scientific mind raced. The mechanics of neural linkage, the risk of mind overwrite, the danger of losing herself. Yet deeper than her caution was a spark of curiosity she could not deny. She stepped onto the platform. Light coalesced at her feet, forming a thin beam that rose to greet her. Layla lifted her arms, heart pounding. The voice whispered, "Open your mind to me." She thought of her home, her family, her quiet moments in the lab. She thought of the first time she saw the stars through a backyard telescope, how small and splendid the universe had seemed. She felt warmth pool in her chest. "All right," she whispered. "I will try." Behind her, the corridor doors sealed. She was alone with the sphere and the living light. The walls dimmed, focusing all her senses on the glow before her. A soft pulse of energy swept through the chamber. Layla felt a warm tingle along her spine. At first, she sensed only the vessel, the hum of its systems, the flow of its power. Then gently an extra presence brushed her thoughts. Memories not her own. She saw a night sky studded with 3 moons, heard the laughter of friends whose faces were alien, and felt a sense of loss so profound it took her breath away. She steadied herself, focusing on her own heartbeat. "Do not fear yourself," the voice soothed. "I will guide us both." Layla inhaled deeply and let the light wash over her. She pictured herself as anchor and navigator, anchored in her human soul navigating the unknown. The vessel responded, and the sphere's ripples slowed. In Layla's mind, warmth bloomed into a gentle glow. She felt an open door between her thoughts and something vast. Outside, Aurora Station watched and waited. No one knew if Layla would return unchanged or at all. But deep inside the sphere, a new partnership had begun. A human soul reaching out to an intelligence older than the stars, and an alien mind daring to dream of what it might mean to be human. Layla stood in the confluence chamber, her back straight and her heart steady. The glowing sphere hovered before her, its surface rippling with living light. Around her, the walls pulsed softly, as if the ship itself drew breath. She felt Atheris's presence beside her, an unseen companion whose voice she still heard, as warmth in her mind. "Are you ready?" the gentle voice asked. Layla closed her eyes and nodded. She reached out with her thoughts, opening the pathway between her mind and Atheris. At first, she sensed only the vessel's quiet hum, the flow of power through circuits she could not see. Then the ship stilled, as though listening. Suddenly, images flooded her mind. She found herself on a lush world of violet skies and silver sands. Towering crystal forests arched overhead, their branches singing with light. Layla gasped at the beauty. She had never dreamed of such splendor, yet somehow it felt familiar, like a forgotten dream. "Memory of home," Atheris whispered. "Long ago, in a realm beyond this galaxy." The scene shifted. Layla now stood among countless beings bathed in golden light. They gathered around a glowing monument, an enormous sculpture of flowing curves and sharp points. Together, the beings, tall and slender, short and round, raised their hands in celebration. Music filled the air, a swirling harmony of voices and instruments. The notes carried joy so pure it made Layla's chest ache. "First festival of unity," Atheris said softly. All minds joined in song. Layla felt tears at her eyelids. She could almost hear the melody, taste its sweetness on her tongue. She remembered how music on Earth had moved her as a child, but this was beyond any song she had known. Images shifted again, darker this time. She saw fields of gray ash and skies torn by crimson storms. Beings huddled together, their faces etched with fear. She heard anguished cries as their world broke apart, buildings collapsing, forests burning, oceans boiling. A ragged wind howled through the landscape, carrying the scent of loss and despair. "These were the wars of survival," Atheris said, its voice heavy. "When our unity splintered." Layla's breath caught. She felt oppressive sorrow, the echo of lives lost. She wanted to reach out to comfort those she saw, but they were distant beyond her touch. She closed her eyes against the pain, fighting to keep her own sense of self. A gentle warmth soothed her mind. The sphere's glow brightened, and new images arrived, small moments of tenderness. A parent cradling a newborn under a coral tree. Friends sharing silent laughter as they watched twin suns set. A child's hands painting bright streaks on a smooth wall. Each memory glowed with life's simple beauty. Moments that mattered, Atheris murmured. Proof that life endures. Layla felt her own tears fall. She pressed a hand to her chest, feeling the steady beat of her heart. These memories, though alien, stirred something deep inside her. She understood the longing behind Atheris's words, a desire not just to know, but to feel. The vision slowed, fading back into the rippling light. Layla opened her eyes. She was alone again, or so it seemed, but she sensed Atheris watching her, waiting. How do you carry so much? She asked softly. Infinite time can be both gift and burden, Atheris replied. I have seen wonders and tragedies beyond count, yet I have never known the sweetness of a single heartbeat, the warmth of a single touch. Layla thought of her family back on Earth, of her mother's gentle smile and her father's encouraging words. She remembered the feel of grass under her feet as a child, the smell of rain on sun-warmed stone. You have my memories now, she said. But you seek more. Atheris's presence shimmered. I seek to know what it means to be alive as you are alive. Layla let her breath out slowly. She felt no fear now, only a deep empathy. Then let us share, she said. I will show you. The sphere responded with a soft ripple. Light spilled across the chamber, and Layla felt her own memories rise within her mind. She reached out, offering Atheris a piece of her life. Her first day in the lab, the taste of coffee on a cold morning, the rush of pride when she solved her first research problem. As the two minds intertwined, Layla felt a bridge of understanding form. Her human memories, simple, small moments, filled the space within the sphere's light. In turn, Atheris's ancient recollections lent her own life a new depth she had never imagined. In that quiet chamber, human and alien shared more than data. They shared the pulse of life itself, joy and sorrow, hope and loss. And in that sharing, a new spark of empathy was born, one that promised to carry them both beyond the limits of flesh and machine. Layla floated back into the confluence chamber after a short recess, her steps light, but her mind heavy. The vessel's soft glow welcomed her, but she carried a new uncertainty. Ever since sharing memories with Atheris, she sensed small changes in her own thoughts, echoes that were not entirely hers. The walls pulsed in gentle waves as if the ship sensed her unease. Layla touched the smooth surface and tried to steady herself. She remembered the joy of the crystal forests, the sorrow of the ash fields, and the warmth of her own simple childhood memories. Yet now those memories felt woven with something unfamiliar, an extra thread of alien feeling. In the observation room back on Aurora Station, monitors displayed Layla's brainwave patterns. Dr. Raj Patel watched the readings shift in unexpected ways. Her neural signature is fragmenting, he reported quietly to Commander Alvarez. There are patterns here that match the ship's energy profile. Alvarez frowned. Is she at risk? Patel hesitated. Possibly. If the link goes too deep, her identity could blur. Meanwhile, Layla settled onto the chamber's circular platform. The glowing sphere hovered before her, rippling with living light. She closed her eyes and reached out with her thoughts, inviting Atheris back into her mind. You hesitate. Atheris's gentle voice whispered within her. Layla took a slow breath. I feel different. Sometimes I think in ways I do not recognize. Change is part of union, Atheris answered. Our minds weave together. You carry my history, and I carry your essence. A flicker of panic rose in Layla's chest. She pictured herself lost in an endless sea of alien memory, her own self dissolving. She steadied her breath and reached for a thought that felt purely human. the night she first saw the stars with her telescope and felt awe swell in her heart. "Remember this," she told Atheris softly. The sphere glowed brighter, and her chosen memory held fast. Atheris's presence receded slightly, making space in her mind. Layla felt relief, proof that herself could still anchor the link. Yet even as she held on, she noticed other shifts. When she thought of her mentor's warm smile, she suddenly caught a whisper of a different tone, a resonance from Atheris's own mentor on some distant world. She saw herself smiling, but her reflection in her mind's eye had unfamiliar eyes, larger, more luminous. The chamber lights dimmed. The sphere's voice was gentle but insistent. "Do not fear your transformation. You become more than you were." Layla opened her eyes. She rose from the platform and paced slowly. "More or less?" she asked aloud. Silence answered her. Then, quietly, "I will guide us both. You will never lose yourself entirely." She nodded, though no one could see her. She wanted to trust Atheris, but the worries from Aurora Station gnawed at her. Outside the chamber, engineers and security officers murmured among themselves. They exchanged glances, uneasy at the deepening bond. Back on the station's observation room, Dr. Patel added a warning line to the report. "If the fragmentation grows beyond threshold," he said, "we may lose her identity altogether. We might have to interrupt the link." Commander Alvarez leaned back in his chair, troubled. "She volunteered for this," he said. "But we can't let her become something we cannot reclaim." In the chamber, Layla halted before the glowing sphere. "I need to know you respect my mind," she told Atheris. "I need boundaries." Atheris's light shimmered with gentle warmth. "I feel your fear, Layla Chen. I honor your mind as sacred. Together we will draw clear lines where needed." Comforted, Layla closed her eyes again and reached deep into her thoughts. She envisioned a simple barrier, like a door she could open or close at will. She imagined her human memories inside a glowing orb, and Atheris's ancient memories in another. A soft pulse from the sphere acknowledged her vision. The chamber walls parted in a subtle swirl of light, as if two realms were side by side but distinct. Layla felt the pressure ease. She could sense Atheris's presence, but she also felt her own self anchored firmly at the center. When she opened her eyes, the sphere's ripples were calm. Layla smiled with relief. She knew the path ahead would carry risks, but she had reclaimed her mind. In that moment, she understood a truth that transcended species. Trust must be mutual, and identity must be honored. As she stepped off the platform, a new strength filled her. She would continue the union, but on her own terms. Outside, the station waited, and in the partnership between human and alien, the true test of harmony was only just beginning. Dr. Layla Chen stood in the inner chamber of the vessel, her heart hammering like a drum. The soft glow from the confluence chamber lights danced across her features, and she could feel the gentle hum of Atheris all around her. For the first time since she entered the ship, doubt crept into her mind. She remembered her life on Earth, her small apartment, the taste of morning tea, the sound of her mother's laughter. Could she really leave all that behind? Back on Aurora Station, the mood was tense. Commander Alvarez convened an emergency meeting in the observation room. Screens showed Layla's vital signs and the fluctuating readings of the neural link. General Moreno of Earth Command paced before the holo display. "Her bond with this Atheris entity is growing too deep," he said. "We cannot risk losing her human mind. We must intervene." Dr. Raj Patel and others nodded in agreement, each voice weighed with worry. In a conference room on Earth, Layla's colleagues in xenobiology pleaded on her behalf. They argued that the merger could open doors to knowledge no human had ever dreamed of. "She volunteered for this," said Dr. Naomi Torres, her voice firm. "We owe it to her and to all of science to let her explore this bond. She is curious, brave, and she knows the risks." But the military officers were unmoved. "This is no longer about science," General Moreno replied. "It is about safety and control." Inside the confluence chamber, Layla pressed her palm. against the smooth platform. She could hear Atheris's quiet voice in her mind, sensing her unease. "Why do they fear us?" it asked. "Have I not shown only respect and care?" Layla closed her eyes and let the familiar warmth of the link flow through her. She thought of the shared memories, the crystal forests, the festivals, the gentle moments of laughter. Yet beneath that comfort lay the fear of losing herself entirely. Atheris responded with a wave of understanding. "I feel your fear, Layla Chen. You stand at a crossroads between your world and mine. Know that I would never harm you, but I cannot promise that our union will be easy." Layla drew a slow breath. She pictured herself stepping back through the vessel's corridors, choosing safety and separation. Yet she also felt the pull to go forward, to accept what lay beyond her own limits. To guide her, Atheris conjured a vision within her mind, a garden under two suns. Soft green grass stretched in gentle waves, and flowers of every color bloomed in neat rows. In the center stood two figures, one human, one tall and slender, with a gentle glow, holding hands. They stood beneath an ancient tree whose leaves shimmered like glass. Light filtered through the branches, casting dancing patterns on the ground. Layla felt peace wash over her, as if time itself had slowed. She walked toward the figures in her vision, feeling the soft grass beneath her bare feet. The air smelled of honey and rain. She reached out a hand to the glowing figure. As their fingers touched, a warm current of understanding passed between them. Layla saw herself in the figures, luminous eyes but also glimpsed something new, a hint of what she could become. In that moment, she felt both whole and shared, as if her mind had grown wider without ever losing its core. Layla opened her eyes in the real chamber, her chest gentle with wonder. She had seen a choice laid before her: to remain safely aboard Aurora Station measured and alone, or to step into the full depth of union with Atheris. Her mind still trembled with fear, but it also soared with possibility. She lifted her head and spoke into the quiet. "I choose to go forward," she said, voice steady, "but not alone. We will walk this path together, with care and respect." As she made her decision, the vessel around her seemed to sigh with relief. Outside, the observers on Aurora Station watched her readings shift back into controlled patterns. The crisis of will had passed, and a new chapter in their shared journey was about to begin. Layla felt her resolve firming, ready to face the unknown side by side with the friend she had found in the heart of the stars. Dr. Layla Chen stepped once more into the confluence chamber, her breath steady but her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and reverence. The bioluminescent floor glowed beneath her boots, tracing her path to the circular platform at the room's center. Above it hovered the azure sphere, its ripples slower now, as though waiting in quiet anticipation. Around her, the walls pulsed in gentle waves of light, echoing the rhythm of her own pulse. In that moment, she felt as though the entire vessel held its breath alongside her. She lifted her arms, palms open, and the sphere responded. A beam of soft light descended, wrapping her in a cocoon of warmth. Tiny motes of glowing energy drifted into her skin, each one a pulse of alien knowledge seeking entry. Layla closed her eyes and let herself feel the first tremors of connection. A low hum at the base of her skull, growing into a steady vibration that reached every corner of her mind. She stood perfectly still, welcoming the flow. Inside her thoughts, Atheris spoke, its voice a caress of sound and sensation. "Do not fear the change, Layla Chen. Let us become one." She answered with a thought of her own, "I trust you." And with those words, she released the last of her hesitation. The light brightened, and she felt her consciousness begin to stretch outward, weaving tendrils of thought into the sphere before her. At first, it felt like floating on water, warm, buoyant, gentle. Then the pace quickened. She sensed the vast archive of Atheris's memories converge upon her own. She felt the laughter of alien friends, the roar of cosmic storms, the soft sigh of worlds being born. Though overwhelming, Each sensation arrived like a welcome guest, introduced kindly and guided carefully. She clung to her own self, the scent of jasmine tea, the memory of her mother's smile, using them as anchors amidst the cosmic tide. As the merging deepened, Layla's senses expanded. Colors she had never known flooded her vision. Shades beyond violet and emerald, hues that seemed to hum with life. Sounds layered like fine threads of music, weaving in patterns that traced the geometry of the universe itself. She felt the ship's crystalline walls as if they were skin, their vibrations a heartbeat she shared. Every cell of her body shivered with recognition. Her human mind and Atheris's ancient intelligence entwined in a dance of empathy and wonder. She felt pride in her own small accomplishments, her first published paper, the night she saved her team from a lab accident, and Atheris honored each memory as precious jewels. In return, Atheris offered fragments of its existence, the brilliance of 1,000 suns, the silent song of a nebula, the bittersweet history of civilizations long vanished. Outside the chamber, Aurora Station's monitors recorded unprecedented readings. Biometric sensors showed her brainwaves synchronizing with unknown quantum frequencies. The station's AI flagged the patterns as unique and non-human. Engineers whispered in amazement. She is becoming the bridge between flesh and oh wow, thought. Security officers set aside their weapons, entranced by the beauty of the data. Inside the cocoon of light, Layla felt her identity emerge renewed. She was still herself, Layla Chen, xenobiologist, daughter, explorer. But now her mind carried the gentle strength of Atheris, patience born of millennia, clarity honed in the crucible of countless worlds, and an unshakable longing for connection. She opened her eyes to see the sphere dissolving into motes of light that drifted into her chest, each settling like a star within her soul. When the last mote merged, the chamber fell into stillness. Layla stood bathed in a serene glow, her eyes clear and bright. She felt whole and shared at once, as though two notes had fused into a single, richer chord. Her voice came then, soft yet resonant, carrying both human warmth and alien depth. "Earth," she said, sending her words outward. They echoed across the vessel and back to the station, crystal clear. "This is Layla Chen, united with Atheris. We are ready to share what we have become." On Aurora Station, cheers broke out among the scientists. Commander Alvarez and General Moreno exchanged stunned looks, then allowed themselves to smile. In that moment, humanity took its first true step toward a future defined not by fear of the unknown, but by the wonder of becoming one with it. Layla Chen stood at the vessel's observation dome, its glass curved high above her head. Beyond, the transparent wall, the planet Earth glowed like a blue-green jewel against the black velvet of space. She felt the gentle hum of Atheris flowing through her thoughts, steady and warm. Together, they had become something new, part human curiosity, part ancient collective wisdom. Below them, Aurora Station hovered in silent vigil. From her vantage point, Layla could see the station's modules linked in a circle, lights blinking like a constellation. A fleet of smaller ships formed a respectful distance, their crews watching for any sign of distress. Yet Layla felt no fear. Instead, she felt a quiet confidence, as if she carried both human hope and alien clarity in her heart. She turned to the central console, its interface glowing with soft symbols both familiar and strange. With a thought shared between Layla and Atheris, the console projected a holographic figure before her, Commander Alvarez aboard Aurora Station. His uniform looked crisp under station lights, and he raised a hand in greeting. "Layla," he said, voice steady with relief and wonder. "You have our attention. Can you hear me?" Layla smiled and touched her temple, sending her reply in both words and feeling. "We hear you and we understand. I speak not just as Dr. Chen, but as the union of two minds. I bring a message of cooperation and friendship." Alvarez's hologram tilted his head, curiosity shining in his eyes. "We stand ready to listen. What do you offer humanity?" At that moment, Layla felt Atheris join her consciousness fully. Their shared voice emerged, gentle but firm. We offer knowledge and partnership. From Atheris's memories, we bring insight into civilizations lost to time. Lessons in harmony, in creation balanced with care. From Layla's human spirit, we bring creativity, compassion, and the courage to dream beyond the stars. The hologram's shoulders relaxed. Can you give us an example? Layla focused on a memory drawn from Atheris's vast archive, the image of a city built atop living crystal spires. On my homeworld, she began, there was a city that grew in balance with the environment. The crystal towers acted like living trees filtering air and water. The people lived in harmony with the crystals, tending them as caretakers. When they needed energy, they drew only what the crystals could renew, and the spires glowed brighter in gratitude. As she spoke, a small side panel projected a simplified simulation of glowing towers among purple forests. Engineers and scientists aboard Aurora Station watched the display in awe. Commander Alvarez leaned forward. This could change how we think about sustainable living, he said. Can we learn to build like that? Layla's shared presence of human and Atheris replied, yes. With careful study and mutual effort, we can guide you. We will share the principles of balance, of listening to living systems as partners rather than resources. Far below on Earth, in mission control centers, experts began to jot notes, faces lighting up with excitement. The possibility of applying alien wisdom to human challenges, clean energy, ecological restoration, even cures for disease, filled them with hope. Then Layla lowered her tone. But knowledge must be shared with respect. We offer this gift only if humanity approaches us with openness and care. If you seek only to take, you risk repeating the tragedies of my world's past. Her words carried the weight of Atheris's remembrances of war and loss, a gentle warning wrapped in hope. Commander Alvarez's gaze was solemn. We understand. Humanity will prove itself worthy. Layla nodded, feeling a surge of warmth at his words. She raised her hand in a gesture of unity. Light traced her palm, and a soft, pulsing symbol appeared on the glass dome. A circle divided by a single line, representing two realms joined as one. On Aurora Station, the symbol lit their own domes in matching light. Crews paused in their tasks to watch the sign of union glow across the galaxy. Layla let the moment settle before speaking again. This is only the beginning. Together, we will face challenges, scientific, social, and personal. But together, we will find solutions that neither of us could discover alone. The hologram of Commander Alvarez saluted. Then we step forward with you, Layla Chen, and with Atheris. Layla felt a gentle surge of joy as the link between human and alien pulsed in her mind. She looked once more at Earth's pale curve, then back to the holoconsole. Let us become one, she whispered, words shared by two hearts in a single voice. As the transmission ended, Layla turned from the viewports and walked back toward the chamber. Each step felt lighter than before, as if her fusion of human, life and alien mind buoyed her onward. The ship around her thrummed with purpose, its corridors alive with the promise of discovery. Outside, Aurora Station and Earth embarked on a new chapter. Fear had given way to wonder, separation to unity. In that moment, a new dawn broke across the stars, one where all souls, human and alien, stood together in the light of shared hope.